Hey, what's up, everybody? Today is Wednesday, September 10th, 2025, and welcome to another episode of Blue Truth and Bourbon podcast. I am your host, Steve. I'm on here a little earlier than I said, so right now there's nobody logged on watching. Um, Obviously, if you found out that I was going to do a show from my podcast Facebook page or my personal Facebook page, then you are aware of why I'm on here. Um, you can see the name of the show down there at the bottom, A Fire You Can't Put Out. And that's why I'm here. Completely devastating news today out of Utah. I'm sure if you're here watching, you know what that news was. That Charlie Kirk was, and I don't care if I get banned from Facebook for using words or not. Charlie Kirk was murdered today in Utah at a campus where he was beginning his American Comeback Tour, and someone took his life. And so I wanted to get on here. Not so much as a tribute to Charlie Kirk, because I don't know that I could do it properly. I said on my personal page, but I didn't know Charlie Kirk personally, never met him. But every time the man stood up and spoke, the words that came out of his mouth were mine. I finally felt like there was somebody that was, and obviously he was much younger than me, but I finally felt that there was somebody that was out there that was standing up for what I believed in, and somebody that was spreading the message of what I thought we needed to be doing in this country. And unfortunately, for having a differing opinion, his life was taken from him. And honestly, I think that's the saddest part. I think obviously, we've talked on here for since December about law enforcement and my opinion on things in the world, and um, America is broken, and I don't know where we go from here. I don't know that we fix it. I don't know that it's possible to be fixed. Um, just a sad day. It is a sad day in America. This is a devastating day in America, and as the title of the show down there in the bottom corner suggests, a fire you can't put out. Um, Over and over again since I found out about what went on, that has been my prayer and my hope, is that what this has done today is created a fire that can't be put out. Over the past 13 years, and especially in the last election, Charlie Kirk reached a lot of young people. In fact, I agree with a young podcaster who was on Fox News earlier today, who said that the only reason that Donald Trump is in office right now is because of Charlie Kirk's tireless work. And I think that's probably true. Um, Amazing man, amazing Christian, father, a husband, 31 years old. And because his opinion differed, somebody decided that they would take his life. And I've been watching the news. I haven't been watching the liberal news because I don't know if you guys saw Matthew Dowd. I did see what he said, and basically implied that Charlie Kirk got what he deserved because of his rhetoric and what he pushed for. But I don't know how a rhetoric of raise your children with values, the Christian message that he sent out, the need for justice in America, that it's not equal. And I think you've seen that over the last week or so with the the homicide that occurred in North Carolina. How many of you saw that within the first few hours of it happening versus how many of you saw George Floyd within the first few hours of happening? And I know that's controversial, and I know people are gonna, say stuff about me. Hey, if you're watching this now live, if you're watching it later, and you disagree with me on this, I don't mind if you never watch me again. Um, I don't care. We have reached a point in this country where the left has been screaming and screaming and screaming and screaming about how Trump needs to be stopped, how Charlie Kirk does this and says this, and how the right does this, and the MAGA does this, and they need to be stopped, and they need to be shot, and they need to be this. And we've allowed it. We've allowed that to occur. Instead of arresting people who are inciting violence, who are inciting riots, we end up allowing these people to have their opinions. And that's, you know, it's not an opinion when it comes to violence. And I hope and I pray because it would be the end of their party if any of these Chuck Schumers, Hakeem Jeffries, Nancy Pelosi's, if they come out and they try to imply that in any way Charlie Kirk deserved what he got today, that would be very bad. And so the reason that this show is called "A Fire You Can't Put Out" is that's my prayer for Charlie Kirk. I think that's what Charlie Kirk would want. I'm not trying to speak for the man. I just know what his passion was. I know just from watching him, I know how much he wanted for us to have a a a debate about the issues and not use weapons, but use words. And let's figure this out. And moving forward, I hope the base that he got during at least 2023, 2024. I hope those kids are watching what's going on today and they understand that this is a war. I clearly believe that the whoever did this was trying to send a message. You're not going to get to our youth. You're not going to spread this message. And I believe they were probably motivated from all of the messages that they hear on a daily basis on the news from the people in Washington. How sad is it that we have people marching to Washington because they're mad that the government stepped in and is ending violent crime? How sad is that people are against that? How sad is it that the mayor and the governor of Illinois and the mayor of Chicago don't want us around, don't want the federal government around, um, because they don't think that arresting people, you can't arrest your way out of violence. Certainly you can. If you put the right people in jail, violence stops or at least decreases. They would rather have their citizenry continue to be unalived than do something about it. And I think it was yesterday's raid where where all of their vehicles tires were slashed and they had to drive away from where they were at because of the people that were around. I think what you're going to see is because my question was why didn't we arrest anybody? Why didn't we arrest anybody for doing that? Destruction of federal property. But I think what you're going to see is now that they have attacked federal government, federal officers, they're going to come back better and bigger. And I think Chicago is getting ready to find out. The whole FAFO thing. So, Mike, I wasn't trying to ignore your comment. I don't know, I don't have it where everybody can see everything, so I'll show this. But you're absolutely right. Um, in any case where something tragic like this happens, our hearts go out to the families and everything. But based on knowing what Charlie Kirk was about, you're absolutely right. He's in paradise today, and we're the ones that suffer. We're the ones that hurt because of that. And I'm not gonna lie to you. Being the old guy that I am, was taking a nap and woke up to came into the living room. Obviously, the first thing I do, because I do a lot of research for things for the podcast, jump on Facebook real quick, see what's going on. And a friend of mine posted that he believed that Charlie Kirk was probably deceased. based on the shooting, and I thought, oh, this is something. This got to be a joke. There's something stupid floating around the media, and turned on the news, and sure enough, that's all it was about. So, um, I jumped on there and started watching everything. And at the time, it hadn't been announced officially, and it was during the Will Kane show on Fox News that he stopped the individual he was talking to and announced that the president had just announced on Truth Social that Charlie Kirk had passed away. So, of course, I plans were for tomorrow, obviously, for a show. Decided to jump on today, and so I'm just on here. If you're on here and you're watching and you have something to say, definitely make a comment on here. Let me know you're here. Let me know you're watching. But make a comment, your opinion of where we go from here, probably. But I'll tell you, those who watch regularly, who are in law enforcement, um, after the last couple of weeks, or about the last week that we've had, if you're not packing every day you go out, you probably better be, because we just don't know where this is coming from anymore. And the rhetoric is so strong. During the Obama administration, during the Biden administration, when I was told to sit down, shut up, suck it up, because we're in charge, you didn't see conservatives running around with weapons going after the liberals. You didn't see this kind of stuff happening. And now we're seeing it just more and more. And I'm not saying that the guy on the train, that was, that's just we've talked about that last week, a couple weeks ago, a couple weeks before that. That guy was just mentally deranged. But at the same time, part of a system that a man with 14 mugshots is out on the streets with the ability to do what he did. I have a problem with that. I have a real problem with that. And the fact, I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but immediately thereafter, several buddies opened a, what do you call those, GoFundMe page for this guy, for the injustices that was being brought upon him. I mean, he's on video. What injustice? He murdered a woman, a refugee from the Ukraine, nonetheless. And where are all the liberal Democrats in Congress that were all posting flags for their "I'm stand for Ukraine"? Yeah, except for this young lady. They stand for Ukraine. No bourbon tonight, or I'd probably get a whole lot more truthful and probably get a lot more hate mail. But where are we at as a country? I mean, we're broken. This is, and guys and gals, this is 100% war. You are going to see this. This is going to continue for the next 3 years. We are going to see stuff like this happen on the regular. People are against uh, Jewish folks. People are against Christians. People are against conservatives. If oh, well, you're a transphobe. Well, no, I'm not. I'm not afraid of anything. But transgender is a mental disorder. We don't have a problem telling somebody who's got multiple personalities, "Oh, you have a mental disease." But someone who believes that they're someone else, something else, oh, we're supposed to think that that's normal. So these folks are out there. And so if you're former law enforcement, if you have a permit to carry in the state of Florida, you no longer need one. I suggest you protect yourselves, because you just don't know where this stuff's going to pop up anymore, especially if you go to an event. Obviously, certain places you can't bring a firearm or a weapon into, but Randy, you're right. They did take those down. GoFundMe removed everything, very fortunately, and I'm glad that it occurred. Many people complained early on very quickly, and so they were able to remove those GoFundMe pages. It was just the simple to me. It was I just don't understand the audacity of people that he's on video. This guy does this, and we started a GoFundMe page. But getting back to Charlie Kirk, this one hurts. When Will Kane confirmed that he had passed, I shed a tear. I cried, got emotional. I've been emotional watching some of this stuff today. I don't know if you saw this. We're what now? We probably started a little early. We're probably 15 minutes into this thing now. So about 45 minutes ago, Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, announced on X that they had the suspect in custody and they will provide updates as they can. And so I'm relatively certain that they do, because the news conference said that a person of interest had been arrested and they were interviewing him. I'm pretty certain that Kash Patel would not have put that out on X if he was not had not already been informed that this is the person who did it. So um, I'm hopeful that within the hour we'll get some more information. At least it's going to be a late night for me. I'll probably be up watching a lot of this stuff. So um, if you're like me, you're probably going to be doing the same thing. There's, I just, I'm very fortunate that I have, um, a family that kind of understands things. Now, don't get me wrong, I do have some liberal folks within my family. And like I said on the Facebook page, if for 1 second you believe that Charlie Kirk got what he deserved, or you thought to yourself, I can understand why somebody would, just unfriend me, just unfollow me. Don't watch the podcast anymore. Don't comment on here. Don't come on here and give me a thumbs up or whatever, no matter what I'm talking about. Because if I don't care if you believe it. I don't care if you um, are part of it. If you voted for people who believe like this, because they do. If you don't think right now that somewhere in Washington, D.C., that there are people that sit in the halls of Congress that aren't cheering what went on today, you are flat wrong. There are people in Washington, D.C. right now who are high-fiving one another over Charlie Kirk's death. Plain and simple. I don't know who they are. They may be dumb enough to come out and say something on the news media and out themselves, but they're certainly there. And I hope they get caught on hot mics. I hope they get caught by Project Veritas. I hope they get caught by other people saying ridiculously unhealthy, unimaginable things, because at that point, we need to fire them or jail them or both. This is, you know, James, exactly right. I'm the same way. I'm heartbroken. I mean, I didn't know the guy, but I feel like I lost somebody personally. I really do, because, like I said earlier in the show, uh, I felt like Charlie was standing up for me. I don't have that platform. I don't have that national platform like he did. And so I felt like he was the one that was giving us a voice. And again, I'll reiterate it with for fear of sounding redundant, but the name of the show, A Fire You Can't Put Out. I am hopeful and prayerful that today's tragedy becomes tomorrow's fire for conservatives. I hope and pray that from here on out, we see a movement like we've never seen before. It's absolutely disgusting what happened today. To feel that you have the right to take someone out because your opinion is not their opinion. And as others have said today on the news, I'm certain that Charlie Kirk would want us to have conversations and debate further, including about this incident, without violence. I never once heard the man condone violence. In fact, I've heard him talk against violence at every point. And yet, the left side is unhinged and they have done nothing but talk about violence. Whether they ask you to go out and commit violence, or they ask you uh, to make sure that you make conservatives' lives a living hell. If you see congressmen who are conservatives out in restaurants, you should go up to them and cause issues and do things. Um, that's what has that was the ground floor of all this stuff that you're seeing and you're going to continue to see. And if you don't think that you're going to continue to see this, I feel sorry for you. I know that we want to see the good in everybody, and I've got plenty of people I can tell you, mention to you that do that. They want to see the good in everybody, and unfortunately, there's just pure evil in this world. And today's incident proves it. That today's incident was a pure evil incident. And like we talked about, I think it was last week or week before. This is a spiritual warfare. That's all it is, plain and simple. And I'm glad Mike mentioned it. That Charlie's in paradise today. You know, he has no more pain, no more suffering. He doesn't have to worry about this stuff anymore. And so now it's time for the rest of us to take up the mantle and not allow our voices to be. Yeah, there's my daughter. To not allow your voice to be silenced because who was it wasn't yeah, it was Gutfield today that said, on the 5, he's like, this was a message sent by somebody that you need to sit down, shut up, or you're next. And I will not pretend to say I that anybody was behind this, that anybody else had anything to do with this other than the individual who did it. But man, you know, it's a war. Randy, you're right. We lost a light. We lost a light today. And I keep saying, I'm being redundant. I know it, but a fire you can't put out. That's my prayer. That's what I hope it is. I hope Charlie Kirk's death is a fire that we can't put out. I pray that this movement that I hope is about to start is just the beginning of something that makes us better than we are, because we're broken. This country is broken. And it's funny to think, because tomorrow we're going to remember the horrible tragedy that occurred in 2001. September 11th anniversary is tomorrow. And I can't imagine a time when we were more together in this country. And to look at where we are now, to look and to think that we are snuffing out political voices. Who does that? What country does that? That's a third world thing. That's a Russia thing. That's a Venezuela. That's a Colombia. That happens there. It doesn't happen in the United States. Yeah. I think we're going to figure that out real quick, guys. Who does this? Who does this? I don't know where we go. I wish I had a call-in section. I probably could. I could probably just do it over my own cell phone. You guys could call in and talk to me and share your opinions. But, share them in the comments here if you can. And obviously, I'm not talking about any agencies today, so they can't blame you for responding to me on this, or maybe they can. I don't know. But we're in a bad situation in this country. And I never, this was a political assassination. I know that he was not a politician, but he was rooted in politics. And he was he went to battle for the conservatives and for conservative values. And so this was a political assassination. And anybody on the other side that tries to justify this, that tries to use this as a platform. Um, it's going to happen. First of all, here's what's going to happen. And I don't watch MSNBC or CNN, but I'm sure it's already occurring. If you guys turn over there, you could probably tell me that it's happening already. But the left is going to blame MAGA for the rhetoric that created this. The problem with that is the rhetoric that has created this is not the rhetoric of raise your children right, have Christian values. Let's do something about mental illness. Let's do something about black white relationships. That's not the message. That's not the rhetoric that's creating this problem. The rhetoric is the left side who doesn't like the message, who doesn't want this kind of stuff to stop because this is how the left controls us. I realize you may think I'm a conspiracy theorist. Some of you may feel the same way I feel. This is how government controls their people. They keep them fighting because that's the only way that we can that's the only way that they can prevent us from realizing that they are the problem. They are the issue. They are the ones that are perpetuating all of this. The left's rhetoric is what created this. The left's violent nature. Who's doing the violence in this country, guys? Watch it over and over and over and over and over again. Who's creating the violence in this country? The party of tolerance, the party of inclusivity. Those are the people that are doing this stuff. I don't know how plain it has to be. I have a 21-year-old son. Called me today. He actually tried to call me while I was taking a nap to tell me about all of this. Called me just a little bit ago, and my son's pissed. 21 years old, and he gets it. He gets it, and he is pissed. And so I just hope that there's more people like him. There's more 21-year-olds like him that see what happened today and understand what it was. Understand that this is pure violence by one party. And unfortunately, what I think it's going to create is violence by the other party. Because don't get me wrong, there's some crazies on our side of this aisle as well, guys. And so what this does is give them the opportunity to fight back when violence is not how we fight this back. It's just not. And like James said, Charlie Kirk had the ability to, this is James' words, had the ability to energize an entire group of people with facts and logic and his faith. And he's exactly right. And that's what scares the left is that this man could sit down and he could present a case, an argument, and get you to think about what you think and what you feel. I don't know if you guys watch Fox News. I watch it. The Five was on. Kennedy was on there, and she talked about her daughter, who's I think she said a junior in college. And she said, my kids and her friends know who Charlie Kirk is because he was on TikTok. And she said, I felt like Charlie Kirk got these individuals, these kids, to honestly sit back and consider their own position and consider how their position may be wrong over the course of the last couple of years. And so, man, I don't know where you sit on this argument. I would imagine that most of you are with me if you're still sitting here watching. Most people we've had watching quite a while, so I appreciate that. Thank you for being here. I'm just devastated. I really don't know what to say. I really don't know what to feel right now. Um, since with the PTSD diagnosis, I have become a little bit more of an emotional individual. I was always kind of emotional anyway, but uh, this is just to say I'm heartbroken is I mean that's the bottom end of it. I mean it really hurts to see what happened today. Because I don't know how it helps. How does it even help the left? Because if this person thinks that by doing what they did, the message ends, like Ralph said, our voices will not be shut down. And that's where we go, guys. Don't allow this to change who you are. I mean, more of us need to stand up. And I get the risk to that. I get the danger of sharing your opinion, especially today in this world where um, you just don't know where the violence is going to come from, and you don't know when it's going to happen and where it's going to happen. And we've got other things to worry about with the millions of people who came across the border who are possibly terrorists than having to now worry about who we're sitting next to on a train, who's in the crowd when we're most of us aren't going to be there speaking at an event. Some of you do, some of you have events, but who's going to be sitting in the crowd? Who's going to you go to a concert, who's going to be in the crowd? I just it really hurts. And I know some of you feel the same way. You've said it on here, and even if you haven't, I'm sure that you have an opinion on this. So I'm not going to go any longer, guys. I just wanted to hop on here and say that I'll be praying for and if you're a liberal on here, thoughts and prayers are going to piss you off, but I hope you will be praying for Charlie's wife, Erica, and her family, the kids, Charlie's extended family, his parents, and I don't know what kind of family they have, but I hope you'll be praying for them tonight. I hope you'll be watching. I didn't say this earlier, but if you saw um, the Republican governor of Utah give his part of the press conference, he did say, and I just want people to remember that we still have the death penalty in Utah. I was proud of him for saying that. And I don't know. I don't know if we can get any federal crimes on this, but um, I appreciate you guys being here, watching me, listening to me vent for a little bit. Thoughts, concerns, complaints, suggestions, compliments. Don't forget to leave a comment. I appreciate it when you guys do. Not sure if I'll be back on here tomorrow night. I will probably try. I'm going to try to be talk about some of the things that we talked in the past, little updates and stuff like that. So if you have time tomorrow night, come back, give me a shout. Chris Dyer, thanks for being here. James, Ralph, Mike, Randy, thanks for being here. Appreciate you guys. Just pray for our country because we're in a bad spot. Just pray for our country and for, the strength and the power to get through what we got to get through. And more importantly, guys, protect yourselves. If you're not packing when you leave the house, you better be. Find you a bag that doesn't look like a gun bag, and make sure you're protecting your family. And if you have to protect somebody else, and if it's worth saving the life, then do that. But just take care of yourselves. So good night. I will probably see you guys tomorrow. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But thanks for being here.